Hi everyone. In this video, we're going to do a quick recap of how to add localization into our MAUI applications. And we're going to talk about accessing those resources both from the XAML side as well as from the C# side. So in order to get started, I've got a main page here with a label and a button. Our goal is to get some localized text into the label and change that text programmatically when we click the button. In doing localization, our first step is to add the resources files that are appropriate. So we're going to create our new folder called strings. Inside our strings folder, we'll add our first app resources file. Give it the file name app resources. When the file opens, we'll add our neutral language named key and values. So I'm going to do two. We'll have incoming, and the value is going to be hello. And then we'll have outgoing with the value of goodbye. Now that we've got our neutral language, we can add another resource file for a different language. In this case, I'm going to choose French, so we'll give the file the same name, app resources, and add the FR to the file extension. You can use different localization codes for different languages. So in French, our incoming hello greeting is going to translate to bonjour. And our outgoing translates to au revoir. So we add the translations in here. Our next step is to configure the app itself to show these languages. So we have two steps to do here on our project configuration. The first is to choose a neutral language for our project. So we right-click on the name of our project, go to the Properties window. When the properties load, we pick Package, and then scroll down until we see the app neutral language. So under Assembly Neutral Language, I'm going to choose a version of English. In my case, I'll choose English Canada. Our next step is to add the resources to the Windows platform. In our Solution Explorer, under Windows, edit the code for your package.appxmanifest file. And under Resource Languages, we can add various language codes. So we're going to say that our app supports both English and French. We can be more specific with language codes if we want to target different locales. And you can look up the specific language codes online if you're interested in doing that. We'll save and close our manifest file. We're finished editing it. Our final step is to import the use of these resources into our main page file. I'm going to do so by adding the namespace at the top as part of my content page. So we say XMLNS, and we'll give our namespace an alias. This time I'm going to call it res for resources. We're going to use our Common Language Runtime namespace, and then trace the way into our app resources location from the root of our project, video demo, resources, strings. If you're not sure about the name of the namespace, you can look it up in the resources file if you open the app resources.designer.cs. The code behind for this shows you the namespace of your resource file. Now that our resources are available, I'm going to use them to fill in the text property of our label. So for our static resources, we're going to use the X static. And we refer to the name that we've given our namespace, in this case RES. And we follow the pathway from the strings namespace into the appropriate class. Again, if you're not sure, look it up in appresources.designer.cs. Inside this namespace, the name of the class created is called appresources, and the name of the properties match up with the names that we gave our localization strings. So we're going to go into the app resources class, and we can see our incoming and outgoing messages. I'm going to use incoming so that our app will say hello. I also have a submit button. When we click on the submit button, I want to change the text of this label so that instead of saying hello, it now says goodbye, or the appropriate translation if you're visiting this app in a different language setting. So let's go to our code behind. When I click the submit button, I'm going to access my label via its name. In this case, the name of the label is LBL Reading. In order to change its text, we're going to access its text property, and we want to assign it to the new value. The value is coming from our app resources class. The simplest way to access these values from here, or the simplest way to access any values from another class in a different namespace, is to import that namespace with a using statement. So if we add a using statement that refers to the same class that we imported in our content page, videodemo.resources.strings, that will give us access to the static variables in that class. So we'll type the name of that namespace into here, the name of my project, into the resources, and into the strings namespace. Now that we have that namespace imported into our project or our file, we can go into the app resources class inside that namespace and refer to our localized outgoing string. Let's just run the project to make sure that it works. Now that the app has loaded, we can see our hello localization string being used in place of the label. And when we click on the submit button, we see that it changes to goodbye. So both of our app resources are being consumed by this app. Now the final piece that I'll mention before signing off is you may have noticed that this window here has two titles on it. We have video demo that's in the app title bar, and then we have home here, which is the default heading for content page. If we want to change these two titles, there are two different locations that we can access them in. The one at the top of the app is controlled in the application file. We can look inside appshell.xaml to see where that title is set. And we have the option to change this to something different. We can say a greeting app, for example, and we can watch this change in real time. The home heading is part of the content page itself. Now our content page, which is called main page, doesn't have a title. Home is the default setting. If you'd like to change the title, all you need to do is add a title property to your content page. Let's say, welcome to our page. That change, again, is reflected automatically in our application. I hope you found this video helpful. If you have any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, I'll see you next class.